Yeah, you mentioned that something was going to be happening here in Michigan. Can you tell us what you learned as far as what might be happening here in Michigan regarding the students?
I mean, there's different proposals that people have. I don't think it's all quite come together yet, but I think it, you know, the fact that students, when we were at that march and we met with students afterwards, after the Lansing rally demonstration, and you know, a lot of the students were just saying, well, we have to do something for March 4. So it hasn't come together yet. And, you know, I don't think that a month's time doesn't seem like it's a whole lot of time. But sometimes all you really need is a couple of days. It just depends on how angry and upset and the different forces have come together and willing to work on it. So I believe that, you know, that there may be actions happening in 2 or 3 different places here in Michigan, but I know the students that we've met with they want to put something together, and they're in the beginning processes of trying to do that.
Yeah, we got an email today from a brother who helped organize the events yesterday, and the name of the group there is Undergraduate Student Alliance, and they work with all left as well as the SDS, Students for Democratic Society there, and they have meetings every Tuesday, and next Tuesday, March 4th, that's their main topic of the agenda. So they're discussing something that's going to happen at Michigan State or at the Capitol up there. So that's one thing that's going on. So essentially, now we, you know, like we can pretty much up to the group, but we can open it up for discussion and see what we can have some discussions about what we're going to do. What some of the possibilities might be of having actions here in Detroit, Metro Detroit, for March 4th, because we really want to, you know, come out of this. This is called the meeting and organize the meeting. So we want to come out of this meeting with hopefully some concrete examples of how we're going to, like Larry said, struggle and put some things on the map if we can, and get out and talk to the students and the workers to build March 4th, even if it's a localized action at Wayne State or a campus or a community college, as long as something's going on. So just like open that up. And also, I don't know, Josh introduced himself, but Josh back there and Deirdre there from FIST Detroit, they've been doing a lot of great work with youth and students, and Josh was up in Lansing last night, so he'll be heading up. Just so everybody knows, he'll be working a lot, you know, on March 4th and working on a lot of things. So he's a person to contact as well as myself.
I forgot to mention something. You know, I think I should give sort of an update of what's happening in New York, so people can see, you know, how much it's grown and how much it's resonated in New York. And just briefly, everybody remembers the transit worker strike in New York, Christmas of 2005. They shut it down. It's probably the only union in the entire city of New York that can shut that whole city down, because New York runs on its transit system. If the trains ain't operating, ain't nobody going nowhere. And they are voting to endorse March 4. They are. It comes at a time when MTA dared cut student Metro cards. To get a monthly Metro card in New York City is $90. So you imagine if you have 2, 3 kids, that's like tuition. It's like charging tuition. And you can't say that you have a right to education if you can't get there. That is part of the rights of education, is transportation to and from. And what they're forcing on parents is that their children won't be able to go to school. Because not only do they have to get the children's Metro cards, but the parents have to get their own Metro cards to get to and from work. And the reason why MTA has done this is because because the workers, they're trying to leverage that against the gains that the workers have won, who had been, you know, working without a contract since 2005, but actually before that. They're trying to pit the students and the parents against the TWU workers. And the workers, seeing that, have united with the students to fight against these cuts against the Metro cards. And the state government, you know, the MTA was saying that, oh, well, they were trying to get it from the state government. The state government's already said, we don't have the $214 million they're asking for to pay for, whether or not the state actually, if that's actually true, the state ain't going to pay for the student Metro cards. And, you know, MTA, you know, if you run the system, it costs you nothing to give students those Metro cards. It costs MTA $0 and 0 cents to give those students, except for printing something on the plastic, or whoever does that. It doesn't cost them anything to give that away. They're just trying to recoup, they're saying they need to recoup $400 million in revenue. They're putting it on the backs of working affected people. So the TWU workers are working with us. We're going to march from Patterson's office, the state, who's the governor of the state of New York, to the MTA and possibly to a hearing of the MTA board that's going to be voting on. I mean, they already passed the cuts on the student venture cards, so this thing in New York is growing quite large. The two major left opposition groups of teachers, K through 12 in New York, they're in support. They're going to be mobilizing with us. The Professional Staff Congress, which is the faculty union, and the CUNY system, they were voting today to decide whether or not they were going to endorse and mobilize for March 4. And parents are in an uproar because the mayor is taking control of the public school system. And he built this board called the Panel of Education on Educational Policy that is unelected. They're appointed, and they just voted to close 19 schools in the city of New York, most of them within oppressed communities. Some of these schools are the highest performing schools in the city. So everything is sort of happening, and the movement is growing. And if you just talk to somebody who knows anything about it, they'll just tell you, we expect thousands of people